for the last 5 minutes, I just want to quickly go into the strengths and limitations of cardiopulmonary coupling. I think I was surprised that when you go to the sleep conferences, the big ones like SLEEP or even SRS, CPC is relatively unknown. Not too many people know about it. There's probably a number of reasons for this lack of popularity. First, it's conceptually hard to understand. It's technically complex. It's difficult to understand the physiology behind it. In fact, there were no papers that explained the low frequency coupling physiological basis. I had to sort of extract it, and I'm not even sure if my explanation is correct or not, but that's my interpretation of low frequency coupling. So it's confusing to begin with. And remember, the band ranges is different from the low frequency cardiopulmonary coupling with HRV. And so there's going to be confusion with the low frequency component in HRV and the low frequency component in the cardiopulmonary coupling. And also, physicians and technologists need retraining to interpret the CPC metrics. So that's some of the barriers there. The other thing is that surprisingly, CPC lacks significant clinical validation. I was not able to find any RCT, even much less large RCTs, proving that CPC prospectively improves patient outcomes. So, there should be some randomization of having a group of patients getting treatment according to a CPC method and those without. And that randomization has not happened that I could find. Most of the studies are sort of small cohort studies or single center retrospective investigations. It's also unclear how CPC should be used to manage the patients. I think that will change as we get more and more data. The other issue is the infrastructure integration challenges. CPC does not fit easily into the existing sleep lab workflow. And the other challenge is that it's not necessarily reimbursed. Although I heard that there's a new Medicare rule in place, which allows for higher level billing when CPC is added to existing home studies. And apparently this adds like $40 to $60. I have to confirm that. But if that's true, then I think you will see more CPCs being added to home sleep studies. And then there's obviously competition for other technologies which distract or remove attention away from CPC. But there are some key advantages of using cardiopulmonary coupling, and this is why I wanted to make this a topic as part of our sleep webinar series. And the first thing is that it truly quantifies autonomic function. It directly measures ANS activity and assesses sleep quality and stability beyond traditional staging. And I would have to intuitively say that this may actually do better in terms of clinical outcomes because of the involvement of autonomic nervous system compared to the traditional staging system, which is largely based on the EEG or what's happening in the brain. But time will tell whether that will actually be true or not. The other thing, it's simple and accessible. You only require a single lead EKG or a ring. It makes it far less invasive, ideal for use in home and wearable devices. And importantly, it allows for multi-night monitoring. So you get longitudinally track the sleep variability and objective responses to therapy over time. And because it only uses a single lead EKG or ring, it really avoids all the complex things like putting leads on the head and all the wires that's needed for a home PSG. So this really opens up the opportunity to monitor longitudinally sleep quality in many different conditions. And this CPC algorithm is automatable and it's objective. It's reproducible. It provides intuitive sleep spectrogram and eliminates the score subjectivity that we know is seen in the traditional sleep staging system. And we get ideally enhanced patient phenotyping because it assesses not only sleep quality, but also AHI and sleep disorder breathing. But with that being said, there are still some methodological limitations with the CPC itself. I had mentioned that it is unreliable with patients with significant arrhythmias or paced rhythms. And I mentioned that this old system relies on the Fourier analysis, which has certain assumptions, and that the respiration derivation itself is not always perfect. So the EKG-derived respiration is good, not great. It could be affected by body position, noise, and may be even more challenging with PPG. And these are susceptible to movement artifacts. I mean, that's true for sleep studies as well. But you have poor EKG or PPGs, and it could be a challenging for individuals with RMS or periodic leg movements. And again, there is some ambiguity physiologically in this interpretation. And I guess this is particularly true of the very low frequency coupling, which is supposedly indicates REM versus wakefulness. And you would need ancillary data such as actigraphy to distinguish the two. But either way, I do think that CPC is going to be increasingly popular. And this is why I wanted to make this a topic of conversation for you.